on ball. He's a combo backcourt guy, but he's best when he can be an offensive weapon. And without Chris Paul creating stuff for him, he's got to do it all himself. The Lakers know that too, and they did a great job on him. He was frustrated, Stephen A. That was a dirty play, and while he wasn't way up in the air, it was also kind of a dangerous play. And Chris Paul's play on LeBron was the same. And I got to say, the way we look at someone like Belichick, and maybe that's taking it too far because he's really been scandalized, but some dudes are so competitive, we know they'll bend the rules if they think they can get away with it to help them. Chris Paul is one of those guys for me. I think it's having an effect on the team. He's ultra competitive. He gets away with what he can get away with, and Devin Booker tried it last night, and he got caught.
First of all, it was a dirty play, and he deserved to be ejected. I understand that. But let's pump the brakes. I've seen far worse. The game is so incredibly soft these days. I mean, please. Schroder was barely an inch off the ground when he got shoved. I mean, again, you got to call the eject. You got to call a flagrant foul. It's got to be an ejection. I saw Devin Booker speaking before he got ejected, and you could just see their level of frustration because their whole thing is that, man, if CP3 were healthy, we could take these guys. We could take these guys. They know we compromised. They talking smack. They're trying to big boy us. They're getting physical. And by the way, it is difficult. And I feel sorry for Monty Williams to a degree. I've got several plays that I've looked at. It is difficult to coach against LeBron James because LeBron James gets calls that other people don't get. LeBron James gets a lot of favorable treatment, even though there are times where this physicality that's exerted against him that doesn't get called enough in his favor. I'll give him that as well. But there are times where, you know what, you see plays that are called against another team. It could be traveling. It could be anything. They get called against another team that never get called against LeBron James. And that's very, very frustrating for an opposing coach. And it's frustrating for other players. And when you combine that with CP3 not being healthy, it is a challenge for Phoenix. You can see it written all over Devin Booker's face last night because obviously he's got more responsibility when Devin Booker isn't out, when CP3 isn't out there, even though Cameron Payne has been doing a really, really good job. I've been really impressed with that kid. He has surprised me, but you can see their frustration, and he acted out. No doubt it was a dirty play, but let's not act like, oh my God, it was one of the worst things we've seen. This league has gotten so soft. It's we've seen far, far worse than what Devin Booker did last night. Yeah. Far worse.
Yeah, it was dirty.
All right. We'll leave it there. Guys, another story I want to get to here. The Lakers made it look easy with a hobbled Chris Paul and a disgruntled Devin Booker taking a 2-1 lead back at Staples in front of Laker Nation for the first time in a playoff setting since when? April of 2013. AD dropping 34. LeBron, talk to me.
It's always special to play in front of the Laker faithful. We hope our numbers continue to rise as the series goes on. We can get more and more fans in the building, but it's a beautiful thing. Hasn't been a playoff game for the Lakers in Staples Center since 2013, so it's a special night, and we just try to reward our fans with their loyalty that they have for us, and just try to play the game the right way.
LeBron icy. I was trying to figure out what that second chain is. I couldn't tell. Stephen A., did LeBron and AD prove that they are the best duo in the NBA?
No, they didn't. Because they're going up against a depleted Phoenix Suns team that clearly is not the same without their leader, their floor general, the point guard extraordinaire that is CP3. His name is Chris Paul. That's number one. And number two, they haven't gone up against the Brooklyn Nets yet. So I guess if you want to go by default and look at their past history and say that they've proven that, fine, so be it. But this year, talking strictly about this season and what they've got to go up against, I reserve the right to wait until they go up against Lethal Weapon 3 in Brooklyn. And oh, by the way, you know what? I mean, we don't know who they're going to face as the Western Conference continues forward. Utah is no joke. I'm paying attention to that. I'm watching Denver with their victory over Portland last night. I'm looking at a few things right now. Anthony Davis and LeBron James are elite. They are all world. We get that. when 100% healthy. But I've been questioning their health for quite a while now, their durability, for obvious reasons, and I'm still questioning that right now. So I'm looking at it from that perspective, and I'm saying I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach because Phoenix is not the same Phoenix team they were in Game 1, not since Chris Paul got injured. And I feel sorry for Phoenix. I really, really do, because I like that team.
One question, I just need a quick answer. Before Chris Paul got injured, who were you picking to win the Lakers-Suns series?
Lakers in 7.
Yeah, right. I'm sure that was because of Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroder. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the best combination in basketball. It's the best 1-2 punch in basketball. It's the best 1-2 punch since a prime Shaq and Kobe. The only contender between then and now is KD and Steph in Golden State. We're talking about the all-time topmost echelon 1-2 punches, LeBron and AD. And while your injury point is a valid one, even just last night, AD hyperextends. What did he hurt his knee? What happened? LeBron was so passive early in the game. I thought maybe his ankle's bothering him. I don't know. He got much more aggressive in the second half. But even with those concerns, Stephen A., you and I were both on the same page before the playoffs started as it relates to the Clippers and the Lakers, right? Hey, if the Clippers are really ducking the Lakers because they hope that the Lakers get a little more worn down and the injuries get exacerbated, and that gives the Clippers an advantage later in the playoffs, is that the best idea? Or is the best idea to catch the Lakers cold before they get ahead of steam? And we both agreed, catch the Lakers cold, because once they get going, it's a wrap. Utah and Denver aren't beating this Lakers squad with LeBron and AD. Not only are they great offensive players, like all-time greats, they're great defensive players, as Kendrick Perkins pointed out on this show the other day. No, the best 1-2 punch in basketball is LeBron and AD.
Well, let me say this to be clear. We shouldn't even be talking about LeBron and AD as a dynamic duo against this Phoenix Suns team because their only formidable frontline player is playing in this first playoff series ever in DeAndre Ayton, who already, again, had 22 and 11 last night. And that's about what he's averaging throughout this series. But this is his first playoff series. We know that Phoenix is significantly undersized. We look at the girth and the mass of the Los Angeles Lakers with Andre Drummond along with AD and LeBron James and a Montrezl Harrell. And we said, excuse me, if you're the Lakers, you're going to big boy them all series long because you certainly don't want to run up and down the court with those young thoroughbreds, assuming that CP3 had been healthy at the time, obviously. You don't want to get into no kind of up and down running game with the Phoenix Suns. That's not how the Lakers are going to win this series. They're going to win this series by playing big boy rules, by putting girth and mass on the court, by forcing them to turn into the perimeter team that they are because you just got too much size and girth against them in the interior, and you're going to slow the tempo down and you're going to big boy them by crashing the boards, beating them up and things of that nature. So if you know that going into the series against Phoenix, then this isn't the testing ground to validate LeBron James and AD as the dynamic duo. We can go on reputation. They are the reigning defending champions. We know that this is a dynamic duo. They top 2 or 3 in the world, if not number 1. But in the same breath, against the Phoenix Suns ain't the testing grounds to look at. Let's see what they do against Utah. Let's see what they do against Brooklyn. Let's see what they do against guys like that, and then come talk to me.
Well, okay, look.